Coverage hour to hour as those results come in at the Results Operations Center. Our colleagues are there on the floor looking at the leaderboard. Stephen Grootes unpacking some of those results that are coming in. As mentioned earlier on, the Umzimvubu district, the first to declare its results, the first voting district, 24 votes counted, and it seems that the majority of those going to the ANC, and it's a largely rural area in the northeastern parts of the Eastern Cape. So we will keep on giving you more details about the various populations, what some of the major issues emanating from those are. But now let's look at another hotspot area, that's Alexandra. You know that various political parties using it to campaign. It was at a boiling point in the run-up to the elections, marred by days of service delivery protests. Our reporter Maageketla Mohlabe has been monitoring the situation there all day, and he has actually been monitoring the situations from the very beginning when it started heating up. So today, did people turn out in their numbers?
In an embattled township that was marred by service delivery protests, you would have expected a different scene, but I can tell you that people came in numbers. They came in numbers because they want their voices heard. And this is exactly what they are telling us. They are saying that we are here to make our mark. This is the day we have been waiting for. Yes, we've protested. Yes, we have actually made those calls for officials to come on the ground to speak to us. Others did not come. Others came through. But this is our day to make our voice heard much clearer and louder.
And no incidents? No
incidents. In fact, we just left about a couple of minutes ago. It was quite normal. It was quite normal, as I mentioned, quite opposite to what we saw during the protest. And police, of course, they are there in their numbers to make sure that there's no violence. But you drive around the streets, I mean, the people are just dancing throughout the streets there, and to show that they are happy.
Did the polling stations open in time, therefore also closing on time?
Absolutely. Of course they did. They opened right at 7 a.m. and they closed at 9 p.m.
So that's what I want to talk to you about, Maageketla, that final countdown, the last 30 minutes. You had an extraordinary day. Take us through it.
So obviously we were at one of the polling stations there called Zion Ministries Church. This is where a lot of people came through to vote. But again, we were waiting, trying to get more answers. Suddenly we see this elderly person come through, and he's complaining, shouting. But again, he's emotional, and I approached him just trying to understand what exactly is the issue here. And he tells me, listen, I've got this paper. I think you'd recognize the paper. That's the paper that they give you after they scanned your ID. And then he says that this is the only paper I have. They are saying that I should go back home because I don't have my ID. I lost my ID. I went back. In fact, he was turned back twice. So he says that I went back home. I looked through my shack. I couldn't find anything.
And this is you driving, I understand, hurriedly to the Home Affairs officers in a bid to help him get a temporary ID. So tell us about that experience.
In fact, what you see in that picture, the first pictures that came through there were in an Uber. I had to actually call an Uber. I took it to myself because I felt the pain that this elderly person is actually going through. So I then decided to call an Uber, and then we then got onto the Uber, drove to the nearest Home Affairs in Alexandra. And of course, when we got there, the door, you obviously have to get those ID photos. And then those gentlemen outside there, they're talking about the fact that you need to have 8 rands to get this done. And then inside there, to get your temporary ID, you need 70 rand. That totals up to 150. I didn't have anything in my pocket, but obviously I had to make sacrifices and just request the gentleman outside to say, guys, give me 7 rands.
Maageketla, so I want to look at this particular. So you made a plan, and this is what it ended up in, you guys running.
Yeah.
towards that polling
This
station?
is exactly 9 p.m. The gentleman, the elderly person there running, digging over the ropes that are actually holding the tent. And there he is. He's actually being well received at the entrance there. And as you can see, they are going through the normal procedure of actually scanning your ID. That's the temporary ID book that he managed to get at the Home Affairs. And of course, the IEC official there assisting. And there he is. He goes inside the tent. He is definitely the last person to vote there. So he almost missed that opportunity. He tells me he voted in 1994. There was no way he wanted to miss this opportunity of voting for the 6th time. So there he is. He's voting. And of course, as
what moved you about this story, Maageketla? What made you go beyond the call of duty? I tweeted on it saying, we salute you as a colleague, because obviously you're in the midst of working, but something must have made you push the limits.
What touched me most in this story is that this parent, I call him my parent, as we were raised to believe that every elderly person is our parent. To see a tear from an elderly person, and this person is saying that I want to cast my vote, but I'm being turned back. This is my only chance. I want to keep on voting. I don't want to have this streak of voting since 1994 broken. I felt the pain and I decided, listen, this is on me now. I need to take this opportunity. I need to make this happen for him.
And this is
there
him
he is, he's
thanking...
happy. And he's just cast his vote, of course, is through those 2 ballots into the national and provincial ballot boxes. And he's actually also explaining to the official to say that this almost never happened. And I don't know how I was going to cope. But of course, after this particular visual you saw there, I managed to get a sense of how he felt. And this is actually what he had to say. So you voted, you're happy?
Yes, I'm very happy. I made my say.
In fact, there's more after that. There's a clip that we cut of himself. We spoke to him outside the tent. I'm sure our colleagues may be able to play that for us.
All right, so while we wait for them to play for us that snippet of him expressing his elation. Did it bring home to you the importance of South Africans enjoying the democratic right to vote and choose who governs them?
More especially the elderly people, and I'm going to emphasize this, Tsebiso. He is 52 years old, and these are among those unsung heroes. He voted in 1994.
Okay,
we were still young
I
at that
believe
time.
that interview that you had, him expressing how grateful he is to you, we've got that visual, so let's go to it and listen.
I can't even speak. I'm so happy I can't even speak. You know, the way I'm so happy. And the way you know that you helped me. They couldn't help me there. So I thought maybe probably that was the end of me. And then, but then you took up to it up to you to go to all way, to try and help me. Yes, and then you did help me. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy. I made my mark today.
You made your mark, and you probably want to see more delivery.
Yes, I probably want to see more service delivery in Alexandra, and not only in Alexandra, in other places where also in the whole country. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Bob.
And you were just about to express to us why it's important, especially for the elderly, to exercise their right to vote.
These are the people that were among those who were actually involved in the struggle years. And I feel that as young people, we have to honor these people. We have to honor the elderly people in the country. I felt as a young person that they paved a way for many of us to be where we are. They paved a way for us to enjoy the fruits of this democracy that we see today. Many of us voted today because of their contribution.
And when you say many of us, were there a lot of young people at the voting stations? The polling stations had been predicted to have very few young people in the queues, but you say that's not the picture you saw.
In fact, I saw a lot of young people in those queues, and of course, many of them first-time voters. And what they told me is that they want service delivery issues addressed in their community. That's the main thing that actually dominated the conversations that I had, including the elderly people in Alexandra. And as you recall, as you mentioned in the intro, this is about Alexandra that, according to them, seems to have been forgotten by officials. This is an Alexandra that should be prioritized, more especially this time of voting. This is an Alexandra that they feel that the mushrooming of those shacks should be stopped. The illegal structure of those buildings should be stopped. I mean, it's a congested area. And of course, driving in Alexandra, I'm sure you have some time back, but you struggle to actually face the oncoming traffic. You have to wait on the other side to allow the car to pass by to be able to proceed with your journey. So that's the experience that actually experiencing there. That's the situation that's there. And of course, driving out of Alexandra, what we saw, a lot of rats in the road. And that actually explains the story that they are actually experiencing in Alexandra as a whole.
Thank you very much, Maageketla Mohlabe. Really putting into question some of those predictions about a depressed youth vote. And it's a story that I've been hearing from quite a number of people, that contrary to the fact that there were expectations that young people wouldn't come out in their numbers, that picture may be different. Well, let's find out where they tabulate all of that information, Griselda.